Well, it's one of our favorite new shows of this new season on NBC. It's on tonight. It's called Life. It's a great show. And on the phone with us, she plays Karen Davis on the show. It's Robin Weigert. Good morning, Robin. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing super. I am doing great. Are you having a good holiday season so far?
Oh, yeah, it's been good. I've been able to be in New York for a lot of it, so that's been fun for me. It's sort of my favorite town.
Well, and you've been on so many of our favorite shows, from Deadwood to one of my other favorite shows, Lost. You did a little cameo on there last
was a good
season.
Fun part to do, yeah.
But we'll talk about those in a second. But first, we got to talk about Life. I have fallen in love with this show. It's so cool, such an interesting story to the show. With the lead there, Charlie Cruz, Damian Lewis. The cop who went to jail for a crime he didn't commit, and now he's out. He's got a lot of money, but he's still on the force. Oh, man, how did you come about to being a part of this show?
Well, I just, it actually came up early, and it came up in a slightly different form. It was a show that was going to shoot in Chicago at first, and it had a few different incarnations, and I sort of, I was someone that they were talking to at the beginning of this process, and
right.
And as they started to align the cast, and as people like Damian Lewis and so on were signed on, I really started to think. And then the final thing was, it's going to shoot in L.A., which is where I now live, and so
right.
on. I thought this has wonderful potential given who they're assembling. It's a really top-notch group of people, and so. Yeah. I knew of Damien by reputation, because right. I think he'd made quite a mark with Band of Brothers, which is that right. Steven Spielberg series, and he's a wonderful guy. He's not just a terrific actor, but he's a great guy to work with on set, and he has hours like you would not believe on this show. Boy, they start at 5 a.m. on Mondays or so, 6 maybe, and they finish often at 5, 6 a.m. on Friday.
It sounds like
sometimes they shoot Saturday.
It sounds like you're at the police station right now. It sounds like there's sirens going off in the background. You okay? Everything all right?
You can hear that, huh?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Wow, you've got a good connection then. So that's pretty faint. But yeah, that's New York, so you're going to always hear little bits of traffic now and then. So.
And now, Damien, he's from he's British, right?
He's English, but he does such a good job with the American accent.
Yeah, I
think his is better than almost any I've heard, in that you really don't pick it up. You really don't pick it up, and he's able to bring as much sort of nuance and character to his work in our dialect as he would in his own, and I think that's also the mark of somebody who does good dialect work, because sometimes when an Englishman is doing, or an English woman is doing an American accent, it flattens them out, because whatever their prejudices are about Americans enter into the way they do the dialect, So they go, Americans are a lot, more humdrum than we are or something, and you start to hear that in the way that they deliver it. I think that's so interesting. I don't know if you picked that up about watching the British do American accents, but it happens sometimes that it actually sort of flattens out their work, and it doesn't do that at all with him. He's so sort of dynamic and alive and fun in the part.
And one of the things that I really like about the show is all the characters, their character is so deep, and we're even just being in the first season, just still getting the legs underneath the show. All these characters, we can tell there's so many layers to them, including yours and including Charlie Cruz, Damien's character there, and it's amazing to see how well the writing is on this show, and just to see how the story is starting to play out. Now, I don't know how to take your character yet. I don't know if you're a good guy or a bad guy. If you want Charlie on the force, if you don't. What's your take on your character, Karen?
I'll tell you what, I actually, and of course I have to think this because I'm playing the character, but I think that there's good reason to initially be very suspicious of this guy, because he got his job back as part of a settlement, which is a very weird way to be put back on the force. Right. He's a total wild card. He's spent 12 years behind bars. He's an ex-con in essence. He's had whatever experiences he had there, and whatever street knowledge he got in there about, and you see him in the series sort of pull a knife on a suspect and all kinds of things. You just don't know what a guy like that is capable of, and you add that to the fact that people within my department framed him, and he's probably out to dig up dirt, and it could completely destabilize my department. I think I've got pretty good reason to want him off the force initially, but I think what's been interesting to track is that I feel that he's starting to win me over, his charm and his his good police work and so on. And we started to be more in some kind of alignment. And then all of a sudden, this body shows up of the guy who was basically responsible for putting him behind bars. And I suddenly am in the position of having to investigate him for murder. Right as I'm starting to have a little bit of a warmer feeling towards him. And that creates an interesting conflict. And I think as we go forward, that will be very interesting stuff to play. And,
of course, that's kind of where we're going to pick up tonight. It's kind of a part two of like a two-part arc there, I guess, tonight on the show, right? Right. Although, there is a component of the show where it's also an episodic, so there is sort of a crime or a crime story that dominates each episode. And the balance between what we're talking about, which is the long arc stuff, and the this sort of crime of the week stuff, that's always interesting. It's sort of there's a mixture of the two each episode. Wow! Now it's we love it. I mean, I really do like it, and hopefully this writer's strike will get wrapped up before long, and you guys can keep rocking and rolling with it. And how many more episodes you guys got before it gets affected by the strike? Well, we're out of episodes now. I mean, this is the last one we got. So okay. The strike. Yeah. So now everything's on hold until they work it out, and we can only hope they do it quickly. So we'll see what happens. Well, I couldn't let you get out of here without talking about Deadwood a little bit. I know what was that experience like? Working with not only on HBO but with this, with a show like that, portraying Calamity Jane. What was it like being in that journey? Well, that was a really extraordinary experience, and I think it was a blast. Well, hey, Robin, we appreciate you taking some time out, coming on with us this morning. We look forward to checking out Life Tonight, NBC. We love the show. Continued best of luck to you, and we'll be checking in with you again soon, okay? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Awesome. There you go, folks. Robin Weigert, she plays Karen Davis on NBC's hit show Life. It's the Tony Rose Morning Show on Sam 100.7.